G'day ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here. We're going to have a look at a game from the recently released Razer Liquid Replay Pack of the Week. This one is coming to you from our very handsome and stalwart Zerg player on Team Liquid. It is LiquidTLO. Little one, of course, been doing a nice job recently, having some fun games, of course. He actually played in a show match against Grubby today. Unfortunately, I missed it, so I'm going to have to grab the VODs of that. Yeah, he's been doing really well, of course. One of the big things about TLO recently, the beard. Let's all give a warm welcome to the beard. This is, I think, one of the first games that I've had since he recently started growing the beard. And of course, it's got its own fan club. Make sure you go and become part of that fan club. It's all very fun there. And of course, he's one of the few players who has changed his race more than I changed my underwear. So that's also a bit of a fun fact there. And he's going to be playing here on Antigua Shipyard. He's starting out in the bottom left-hand side against his opponent, who is, again, another little bit of a character in the community. It is AcerElfi. Elfi, of course, another player who used to be in the Warcraft 3 scene. One of the best Finnish players in the Warcraft 3 community, from what I understand. I'm no expert in that field of expertise anyway, but yeah, one of the better players there. Elfi is a player who you will see, I'm sure people would have seen at IEM and some of the other events, that Elfi is a guy who will do some crazy things, especially in PvP, and just somehow get away with it. He'll do things like he'll do a weird version of a 4-gate, or do something where he really shouldn't be able to get a particular economic lead or a like a unit lead or anything like that, and still somehow gets away with it. I'm sure we all remember there was a game where he had a PvP on this map, it was, where he really shouldn't have won, and somehow did. I can't actually remember who it was against. I think it was a Korean. Anyway, so I was going to say we're going to be expecting some crazy stuff out of Elfi, and it looks as if he's going to get started straight away here. He's actually put down a pylon right next to the hatchery and has got a cannon going up, a second one as well. None of these are going to survive, though, because it looks as if TLO has brought the drone defenses down to deal with this, and he is going to have to cancel at least that one there. He's going to need to cancel this one as well. I don't think that's going to stay up too long, and TLO does a good job of deflecting this. So obviously not going to be causing too much of an issue to TLO's natural expansion, but what this has done is it's pulled, I think that was at least 7 drones off the mineral line, so that's a little bit of a victory there. Meanwhile, back at home for Elfi, he's gotten his Forge Fast Expand going. The cannon's on the way, the gateway is coming as well, and the Nexus has also been started. So, of course, as I said, this is from the Razer Liquid Replay Pack of the Week, number 30. You can catch this on teamliquidpro.com if you want to have a look at the replays yourself. There are a whole bunch of replays in this pack. Some of them I'm pretty sure against smurfing players on EU, so I'm not actually sure exactly who there are, but there are certainly quite a lot of games in there, and I'm going to be grabbing this one and maybe a second one if I have time as well. So I just wanted to see Elfi playing, because he's the type of guy who will do some build like a 4 Warp Prism, 3 Zealot, and 8 Hallucinated Colossus attack or something like that, and somehow win with it, because that's just how Elfi rolls. So just for the moment, though, it looks as if both players just playing very standard. Elfi does have his both of his gas at the main, mining away from those as fast as he can. Got the pretty much that whole wall is now complete. Of course, a little space there just to make sure he can get a probe or something out if need be. Does have a probe out on the map already. This map it can be quite difficult for Zerg to deal with Protoss in these particular locations, because once you get this third base up and running, as any Zerg will know, it becomes very hard to deal with Protoss, because you can get that death ball up with the Colossus, the Stalkers, a mothership and all that sort of thing, and it just gets really annoying to try and deal with that. So TLO's got to be careful. He's either got to put some good pressure on at the start, or perhaps take a little bit of a risk at the start of the game in terms of his economy as well. Elfi, meanwhile, just keeping this probe hidden in the gas, does stay away from the Zerglings for a little bit, but does get caught eventually. Can see that there was no gas taken here. There wasn't one there as well, so I think he did miss that there was any gas taken. Yeah, so he's just got to be a little bit suspicious of what's going on, but he can assume that TLO will probably be taking a third base pretty quickly, and TLO now with both of his gas up is probably going to be looking towards some roach pressure at the start, I would say, off those 2 gas. He does have the third hatchery round about halfway done as well, so sort of, as we said, pretty standard from all parties concerned here. We've got a Stalker that has just jumped out on the map. In fact, that is the only unit. No, where is it? There is a second Stalker that's inside TLO's natural sort of area here, taking down one of the Overlords, or at least attempting to. A couple of Zerglings come down to try and sacrifice their life so that that Overlord can get away, which is of course definitely worth it. But Elfi now putting some further pressure on, bringing in both of these Stalkers here. The Queen is going to have to be very careful. She doesn't want to move too far off the creep, because that becomes a death trap for the Queen, and for some reason, I'm not sure what happened there, she sort of stuck in the middle there for some reason. But the Zerglings come around, and I think Elfi was a little bit busy at the time, and it looks as if these two Stalkers are going to go down. Brilliant micro there from TLO to keep the Lings at the back to make sure that those Stalkers will definitely go down, and indeed they do. So lots of pressure coming out here from TLO. He's currently got Ling speed just about complete. It's almost 3/4 done now, and there are at least 20 Lings out on the map, so he is definitely going to try and put just a little bit of pressure on. He did have a couple of Roaches, so he's not actually bringing those along, so he's just going to be saying to Elfi, you know what, buddy, I'm going to be on the map. You're not going to get this third base too quickly, because I've got so many Zerglings that that's not going to be allowed to happen. And he's going to make sure that Elfi sort of beefs up his army quite a little bit before he can actually move out to take the third. So like that style here from TLO, and behind all of this he is droning up. We've got more and more drones on the way, currently a total of 53 of them, with more on the way. That's going to be 60 quite soon. And in fact, TLO actually catches out another Stalker here. Picking that one off is quite nice, and you can see just checked up the ramp there to see what was here. He's got a couple of sentries, a cannon, and of course the Forge spinning away, getting a +1 to weapons along for Elfi. So it is going to be just a standard sort of Colossus mix here from Elfi. He's got one Immortal out, which is going to help a tiny bit with Roaches, but he will get extended to Lance and this Colossus pretty quickly. Probably once we see two of the Colossus out, we'll see Elfi move out, maybe try and take his third, or sort of move into the style that he wants to go for if he is going to go for a push. But TLO has got a brilliant count of drones right now, 75, getting close to that sweet spot that you want, where you can get a full mining going on both gas and minerals at all of your expansions here. And he's going to be licking his chops and getting ready to do some pressure once he gets all of that going. As we can see, just getting gases 5 and 6, just to make sure he can supplement that as much as possible, and also macro hatch just here at the natural expansion as well. So looks as if TLO is going to have a peek in at the natural expand of Elfi as well. You can just see what's going on there and how many probes are prepared. There is a Colossus out here for Elfi, and a lot of sentries as well, so he's going to be relying on some good force fields, and of course the major firepower of that Colossus to get his damage done. Meanwhile, the upgrades for Elfi are currently sitting at a nice +1 to the weapons. Of course, he's been spending quite a lot of his gas on these quick Colossus that came out, along with the extended double lance, which is now done. He's also got, how many gates have we got inside? We've got 5 inside the main, plus a 6 down at the natural, and 7 and 8 as well. So he's got 8 gate plus the Colossus. We got 2 of them out, so he could certainly look to do a little bit of a push now, but I think it might be a little bit too late. He should be well aware of what TLO has on the map, and there are quite a lot of those Zerglings and Roaches, but we'll see what happens here. Depending on the force fields, this will determine how this fight goes. It looks as if TLO will have to back off. There's just a tiny bit too much there for him to compete with, especially with good force fields coming in from Elfi, so we'll see what happens with that. TLO splitting up some of his units is going to try and use some of them to do a run by into the third, but that's not actually there. He will perhaps look to see if he can get inside the main, but there is a pylon that's blocking that off, so that is definitely not going to happen here. TLO, meanwhile, just taking bases all over the place. We've got one down here, and also down at this side at the 5 o'clock position as well. So TLO is looking very nice in terms of his expansions right now. The Spire is on the way as well, halfway done. Infestation Pit is done, and researching the pathogen glands, so he is moving quite nicely here. He's just got to be really careful about this push. It is coming through now. We've got a pylon that's just warping in some more units here for Elfi. This is going to be quite a decent push. just keeping in mind he's only got +1 on those weapons. And meanwhile, for TLO, he's going to do his own little run by here. The Zergling's now pushing inside the natural expand. Elfi is now just going to go to town on this third base. That is going to be free pickings for him. TLO doing the correct thing here and saving some of the drones. He should probably grab the rest of them as well. See if he can get them across this side, but I don't think that's going to happen too much because TLO is now busy pushing inside the natural expand of Elfi, and he's going to be able to go to town on that Nexus. That is going to go down, no trouble about that. Meanwhile, back for Elfi, he's now pushing across. He should be able to push through and get inside TLO's main here, but there are so many spine crawlers being built, it will slow down the progression there for just a moment. Of course, there's a lot of firepower here with all of these Stalkers and the Immortal in the mix and the Colossus at the back, but Elfi is doing he's getting a lot of damage done here. If TLO could perhaps take out these pylons, he would stop any sort of reinforcements for Elfi, but the probes are now coming down. This is going to turn into a full base trade here. Drones getting caught out at the front door of the natural there, and they are being picked off straight up, and then the roaches still doing quite a lot here. So this is going to turn into a very awkward base trade here. I'm not exactly sure who to call this for, but both of the players are doing quite well to just push through each other's bases. Of course, it gets very hard for a Protoss to deal with things if there are mutas out on the map, but there actually are not any mutas out at all. As we can see, TLO has just got to deal. He's only got these roaches and quite a few lings as well. A couple of corruptors are trying to pop out, and a Nidus Worm is being brought into the fray here. Where is a Nidus Worm? It's just going to be over here at the side. That is just a brilliant play here from TLO. He said, you know what, buddy, you can have this base, and he's going to evacuate as much as he can. Gets the drones and the few roaches that he had out, and they're going to be out here at this base, going to be able to restart the mining procedures here. Meanwhile, for TLO, he has done so much damage to Elfi, and Elfi is going to have just a few buildings left over. We've got 82 supply for him. There is a simulator being constructed here, as well as the fact that there is still quite a bit of minerals available for Elfi to restart another Nexus if he can, but the problem is that there is a lot of creep spread around the map, which is a little bit annoying for Elfi. He's got to perhaps try and get something done, but I don't think it's going to happen. He's going to have to, Elfi's going to need to get across the map down here to these expansions as fast as possible. One of the issues here for him is that he's got quite a few buildings around, so TLO has still got quite a lot, and it looks as if Elfi is going to get caught out here. The few corruptors that did get out from TLO have now sniped off one of the Colossus. Will they get the second one? No, they won't. The Stalker's far too powerful for that, and TLO is doing a little bit of a ring around the rosy here. We'd love to see him just split up the units and try and get inside to take down some of these units, but it is getting very close now. Elfi just saving his money. He's going to just try and keep his position here and just build as many assimilators as he can if he needs to, but now he's going to push inside. The probe's still alive as well. TLO is trying to save what he can, but the problem is that now once Elfi gets up inside, the ramp is going to be vulnerable here, and now TLO has actually found that the assimilator is free to go, and he's going to get it, but there are still a couple around the map. There's one here at the expansion, one at the gold, and still one down at TLO's old natural, and now Elfi is going to be in a nice position here, but he too has still got to get around the map and take down all sorts of buildings. TLO has got extractors, evolution chambers, and also a hatchery being started at the top right hand side of the map. So TLO, this could go either way. I'm not exactly sure how to call this one, folks, because this really could go either way. So we'll have to see how TLO plays this. I think he's a little bit more in the power position here, especially given that he now has a second hatchery going up in a completely different spot. I do like that he's put that just in a completely different position. What would be very interesting is if he put it down here at the natural. That'd be quite fun to see. But now Elfi is a little bit stuck. He's got to keep these probes alive if he wants to make sure his hopes of winning this game are also still alive, and he's going to try and come through and put a Nexus down at the gold, but I don't think that's going to happen. The Roach is going to have something to say about that. There are still a lot of Stalkers available for Elfi, though. They still have only got the +1 to weapons, so he's got to be very careful with how he proceeds here. He needs to trade as efficiently as possible, but so does TLO, given that he has no way to rebuild just yet. He's still only just starting to get his mining operations back online. The first hatch is done. The second is also coming through as well. Splitting up these units, it looks as if TLO is going to try and get a really good flank here on Elfi if he can. He'd really need to come in at just the right time, and it looks as if TLO is going to go for it right now. Here they come, the Roaches. They're going to try and get through and snipe down this Nexus if they can. That'd be quite nice for them. The Colossus being well microed there by Elfi, keeping that alive for the moment, and I think TLO may have this here. It's going to be really dependent on how long this Colossus stays alive. I think no, actually TLO is going to lose this one because the Colossus is still alive, doing quite a lot of damage, and it looks as if Elfi is going to win. Wait, what? Okay, no, we've switched it around. TLO is keeping some of the Roaches alive, and Elfi has got a few of his probes alive, which is quite good for him, especially considering that the Nexus is now complete. There is, keep in mind, still an assimilator down here, and the Roaches are going to have to retreat for now. They are trying to get away as swiftly as possible. Only 4 Stalkers to compete with, and the Colossus, of course. The Colossus has taken a little bit of damage here. Roaches being burnt down one by one here, and TLO is still mining. So this is actually going to continue on. I'm sort of a bit shocked that this game is still going. I thought that surround from TLO was quite nice, but no, TLO has had enough, and I think it's just the fact that he would have had to wait quite a while for to get all of his mining operations up and running, and he was just going to be quite far behind at that point. So TLO unfortunately going down in this game, and Elfi producing a win again out of almost nowhere there, which is just pretty much Elfi's style. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. It was a little bit of fun. We'll have a look at another game from TLO very soon. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.